Hi everyone, welcome to my demonstration of Trello. Trello is a project management tool that we've been trialling in our team to manage our workflow of project papers and establish a number of controls. We're using it in conjunction with our workflow management tool, which is based in Excel, to assess the workload of the team and help us identify any future pinch points where we might need to allocate resource across the teams. I wanted to use this demonstration and take it from the point of view of a management to firstly consider the volume and pipeline of papers that we're undertaking. Secondly, to be able to look at the progress of any particular paper. Thirdly, demonstrate how we can assign any activity and communicate with the team effectively and in one way. And finally, I wanted to correlate this back to our team workflow management activities and complete the cycle. There are a number of methods of accessing Trello. You can do that online via a browser, through a link in Teams, or via a tablet app. For the purposes of today, I'm going to use the tablet version. So without further ado, let's jump into the interface and I will demonstrate how we've been using Trello in our team. So if we use the app and set that on the home screen, we simply need to open up the application. When the application is open, you'll see a number of boards. The boards represent specific projects. If we select the board, each board has a list that represents a workflow. In this case, I'm going to use IA projects. In the IA projects, we can see lists. Each list has a card on it. Each card contains a number of credentials. We've laid ours out to represent the forthcoming FSEF dates. So at the top, we can see the 24th of March, which is the next FSEF, a number of papers that are being submitted. So 6 papers there. 14th of April, we've got another 5 papers. 28th of April, another 5 papers. And as we go further out, we have less clarity over which papers are going to be submitted. But what we do is we identify projects that we don't know which FSEFs they're going to land on because we haven't received enough information. So that's more of a holding line for us. This view allows us to answer the first question: how many projects are generally being undertaken? And we can see broadly that we've got 4 or 5 papers at least in the next 2 to 3 FSEFs. The circle in each corner allows me to understand who's been assigned to each paper. So if I want to go on to the next stage, which is interrogating the progress of a paper, I can drill into a card. Let's use body-worn cameras as an example. Here I'm interested to understand where the review and sign-off processes are. What we've done is we've set up a very standardized view, so each card is represented in the same way. So if I run through this card briefly, I can see the title of the paper, which is body-worn cameras. There's a very brief description to allow me to understand exactly what it is. So it's a proposal to invest in store safety equipment to protect our colleagues. I know which business area this is. This is RSC, that's identified. Which analyst or manager is responsible in my team? So Alistair. The due date, which is the date that a paper needs to be submitted rather than the FSEF date. So all these activities need to be completed by Thursday, the 23rd of April. There is an ability here to add attachments, and here I generally expect us to be putting the draft paper in here or any other queries that we have. In this case, that information isn't here at the moment. We also have some additional information to control the review process and review the top level KPIs. If we start with governance, the summary bar gives us a visual representation of the progress. So in this case, we're roughly about 15% of the way through it. By selecting the drop-down, we can see which of these activities have been completed. In this case, I can see the major activity completed is that the paper has been approved and submitted by the finance partner. All the other activities are still outstanding. It's a very standardized view. So in each case, I would require these to be completed before we submit into FSEF. The CER is raised and we're comfortable with the accounting treatment. If I then move on to KPIs. So I've added this to establish the priority of the paper and what the key financial metrics are. In this case, I can see the CapEx is roughly 100k. We're not sure what the rev exit is yet. The payback period is 3 years, so within our benchmarks. What type of scheme it is, so it relates to colleague safety, very importantly, whether or not it's in the forecast, and by how much. The priority status is also quite important, as it allows us to prioritize papers and understand if this is a priority for the business going forward. If you recall, my next action was to assign a task to the team if there's anything that I require them to do that isn't within our standardized activities. In this case, I would like to see more information about the status of the paper, so very specifically a copy of the draft paper. If I use the drop down again, I can enter the task, I've already done so in this case, to save down a copy of the draft paper. To ensure this is communicated, the comments facility allows me to send an automated email. It's a great way of managing the requests and ensuring that they're completed. All you have to do is simply enter the name of the recipient and an email will be sent. As this is a demonstration, I won't send it to Alistair, but by simply hitting the enter key, it would send an automated email to Alistair. So finally, I want to link this to our workflow management. If I exit the application and go to my workflow management based in Excel, I'll be able to see the number of papers being prepared and make sure that this ties into the number that we're reporting in Trello. As you exit, everything will be saved. So if I go into my workflow tool, open this up, go onto my summary page, which shows the number of project papers for the FSEF cycle. If I scroll across the right hand side, I'll be able to see in each week the number of papers which will tie into Trello. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and that was a useful overview. Thanks very much.